3, 2. Well, the wait is finally over. We have our new defensive coordinator. Danton Lynn is the new USC defense coordinator after this long wait. We got the news just a little while ago when we were live, and now we're looking at a situation where USC now has their guy, has their hire, take a little bit of a risk. Danton Lynn came over he was the Ravens in the NFL, and then comes over, has a great season at UCLA, and now he's moving to the big leagues, Bruins. He's coming to USC to try to help the ailing defense at USC to get them in contention for the Big Ten. Me personally, was really jumping out at me on this one is the fact it's just how they stymied teams on the ground, how they held USC to 3 yards rushing as we go into the Big Ten, a very physical, rush-heavy conference. Matt, I know you've been writing this whole time. What are your initial thoughts on the hire?
Home run. I love it. I love it for a lot of different reasons. So first off, Jen Cohen threw a big-time smoke screen when she talked to Ryan Karchi of the Los Angeles Times earlier this week. She said, there are still conference championship games to be played over the weekend, and we're going to be patient. We're going to wait to get this right. That was clearly now a smoke screen. We can all see that for what it was, to kind of get people off the scent. So, much like Mike Bone with the Lincoln Riley hire 2 years ago, also Brandon Sosna, this was a stealth move. Like Danton Lynn was not being talked about the head of the conversation. There was a Tony White boomlet and Glenn Schumann, and I had Pete Kwiatkowski. Like, maybe that's the way this is all going. Nope, Danton Lynn. So where do we begin? I think we start just with UCLA had a good-looking, physical, tough, well-tackling defense. Like that's the main thing. Like, can your coordinator handle the X's and O's, have a good scheme, handle his personnel well? Can he coach? And Danton Lynn can coach. We saw that. Like when you smother Caleb Williams, you smother a USC offense for all the weaknesses that it had. I mean, that was a convincing beatdown delivered by UCLA. Lincoln Riley sees that up close and he says, hey, I'd like to get that guy. And he does with Jen Cohen's help. So that's the first thing. The second thing, and I think you would agree with me on this, Tim, USC definitely had a problem, not just with recruiting elite defensive prospects on the trail, but specifically keeping the guys in Southern California home from Bosco, from Mater Dei. And so by hiring not just a really good X and O coach, but someone from UCLA who was impressing everyone in Southern California, in Los Angeles, with the body of work that he put together this past season, like this should be a move that really sells the future Kingston Viliamu Asas, the future strong quality linebackers at Bosco, at Mater Dei, at the other Southern California high schools. They're going to say, okay, this isn't Alex Grinch. This guy actually knows what he's doing. This guy's serious about defense. This guy has NFL bloodlines because he's son of Anthony Lynn. And Danton Lynn was Baltimore Ravens defensive backs coach a year ago before he took the job at UCLA. So he already has NFL NFL assistant coaching experience. Like this is checking just about almost every box. Now it's not Jim Leonard. Like Jim Leonard would have been better. And so if people want to say, well, it's not Jim Leonard, fine. But I don't think USC could have done much better than Danton Lynn, all things considered. You're not getting a guy with Big Ten knowledge. You don't have that, but you have really just about everything else. Danton Lynn's going to be a very energetic recruiter at the age of 34. So you're getting a guy who's tactically sound. He has the X and O acumen, and he's going to be a monster recruiter. Getting those two things and having a lot of respect from the local high schools in Southern California, folks, this brings a lot of good pieces together. It meets not just the main need, can he coach defense? It meets a lot of other surrounding needs as well. So, all of us as fans, we all have our initial reactions when a big hire hits the headlines. My initial reaction was yes, like instant reaction was yes. It's not the kind of hire where you go, maybe it'll work out. It might be good. I can see it maybe happening, and yada yada yada. No, this was a yes.
Yeah,
the instant reaction. Yeah, they nailed it. They got it. So hopefully that initial reaction will be rewarded.
Yeah, it was a conversation. Matter of fact, I was in USCJ's chat a little earlier. He reminded me, and we did initially talk about this. It was, fresh coming off the UCLA game. We were kind of talking about things, and he said, "Man, you know what? Get that Danton Lynn guy. Danton Lynn is just." And I was like, "Yeah, I know, but he's got one eye on the NFL." He's like, "That would be a home run hire. That would be a good hire." And credit to him, because that is exactly what happened. And he's shown that he can turn it around, because UCLA had all those issues with Bill McGovern. If you guys aren't familiar with that, Bill, there was weird circumstances. He was a coach. It turns out that he was terminally ill. He ended up dying. Their defense was a mess because of it. They threw together with a good old buddy Clancy Pendergast. They tried to throw something together on defense. But it shows one thing, Matt, is that he can turn this thing around quickly. When given the pieces. Granted, with the Murphy brothers and with Latu, they had some solid pieces, right? They had some legitimate all-conference NFL type guys that were playing. But we also have some studs. We have some players. We now, with this name, we'll have go into the portal, do a little more portal shopping, and go from there. We actually have our first caller. Thank you so much. You got to remember, guys, this show is about you guys. This show is for the Trojan family. You're coming here to celebrate. You're coming here to commiserate. We want to hear what you guys think, because this is it may not be the last, but it is the first, and at this point only, Trojan family call-in show centered around you, the caller. So we want your calls. We want your opinions, and we really want to kind of stick to, we can go on any topic, but we really want to stick to this Danton Lynn hiring. And so, caller, with that, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is George again from Tennessee. And how you doing?
Good, George. Thanks for calling again.
I love the timing this came out, because as USC fans, we've been so down and just sick. And then all of a sudden, the Pac-12 championship game's going on. We're already pissed off. We're not in it. And then all of a sudden, wham, we get this news, and it's like, yes, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what we needed. We needed the excitement. We needed this. The timing was just like dead on. It was like, hey, Oregon, it's all about you, and Washington, it's about you. We go, but you know what? It's USC time. It's USC time. That's all I got.
Yeah, no, again, great points across the board. I would say that one is sure taking a lot of sting out of all that mouth we've been getting from across town. Believe me, I worked with a bunch of UCLA guys, and that's all I've been hearing about. Well, we just took the brightest part of your team just now. Oh, and by the way, your future quarterback, he's in the portal as well. So it's rough time for the Bruins. But I got to say, I'm really happy, just like with Matt, when I heard it. One, it was relief. It's like, oh, at least it's done, right? And then there were a lot of ways they could have screwed this up. The one question mark is 1 year. Can he continue this? You got a guy, we're talking about the previous guys that were on the list of wants were guys that had shown it for years. But this is a hire. It's a gamble. But you know what? Football's turning to a young coaching sport. You got these young coaches coming up, and some of them are panning out. And USC's taking a big gamble on Danton Lynn, but I'm thinking it's going to pay off.
Well, and let's
it's going to be big for recruiting. Yeah. Really quick, it's going to be big for recruiting, because when you're able to say, "Hey, this team was number 11 defensively in the nation,"
yeah,
that's what we got. Really, we got him. We got the 11th best defense in the nation. Because when you stack up talent to talent, we're not less talented. There might be Latu. Forgot the name, Latu, the outside linebacker, a couple defensive linemen, but overall team. If you were NFL scout and you're going, I want this guy, them just talent-wise, you're going to be looking. So talent-wise, now you're implementing brains with the talent. That's a huge boost. Now players will be going, okay, all right, now I consider them relevant again. I consider them, they moved from 10 or not even in my list all of a sudden 1, 2, or 3. So that's exciting. And thanks guys for putting this on.
Oh, this is all about you, George, and people like you and Trojan family. It's a beautiful night to be a Trojan. It's always a great night to be a Trojan, but tonight's a special night. So fight on, George.
Yeah. Let me address one thing that George brought up in his call about the timing. And he said, we're upstaging Oregon and Washington. But the main thing is, and we talked about this on our call-in show just a few hours ago, before, of course, this special edition upon learning that Danton Lynn is the hire. USC gets the plane landed. They landed the plane before the weekend of games. So, USC gets a news cycle before Saturday. And so portal prospects and recruits, they all get to absorb this news on Friday night before Saturday's games, before the college football playoff announcement, all the bowl games on Sunday. USC gets it in on before the wire. So that it's a definite plus in terms of the timing of all this.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Caller, thank you for calling in. You're on with Matt and Tim. We're talking Danton Lynn, new USC defensive coordinator. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi there. My name's Alex, and I am from Fort Worth, Texas. I'm a big Trojan fan. I'm really cautiously happy with this hire. It is somewhat of a big gamble. I understand he had a really good year, but it's just 1 year. Is that right? As a DC?
Yeah,
that's correct.
That's true. That's true. You are based on one season. There is a risk there.
Right. Yeah. But again, anything's better than Grinch. So I'm happy with this. My question is going to be is, in your guys' opinion, do you think he's going to bring his own staff, or do you think Lincoln's going to push some of his people to still be on their position? And also, how is he going to be in recruiting as well? Because we need them big bodies.
Okay, so first off, I think Danton Lynn, he's not going to take this job. No one would have taken this job if forced to accept some guys from Lincoln Riley. I can say with pretty considerable confidence that Danton Lynn is going to be able to fill out his staff the way he wants to. If not, I would be very surprised, and it would be a horrible look for Lincoln Riley micromanaging that. So it's highly unlikely that Riley's going to force Danton Lynn to work with other people. And in terms of recruiting, so people in the chat, they're worried about recruiting. And, so he's been a coordinator, Pac-12, now Big Ten coordinator for 1 year at UCLA. And again, so there is the risk that you're basing this hire on 1 year. But his work with the Baltimore Ravens, one would think that's going to be a real selling point to defensive recruits. And it's not just the NFL, it's the Ravens. The Ravens, one of the best defenses in the NFL. So being part of when Danton Lynn goes to a defensive prospect's home, when he says, I coached the safeties for the Baltimore Ravens in 2022. You think that's going to be a selling point? Yes, it's going to be. So he doesn't have the track record, in terms of bagging recruits, the way Dante Williams did, but one would think this is going to work out pretty well. And one also has to reiterate that if you're a modern day or a Bosco or some other, elite Southern California based defensive player, you're going to look at what Danton Lynn did with UCLA in one season. You're going to say, oh, okay, he can really coach, unlike that Grinch guy. So some people are unimpressed with the hire. And I think the salient criticism of this hire, if you can make it, is that you're putting all your chips in the middle of the poker table based on one season. Fair. We saw with Mel Tucker being given a big extension at Michigan State based on one season, and that all fell apart. So I get it. But when you look at everything that's on Danton Lynn's resume, the Ravens this year at UCLA, smoking USC, dominating USC physically, in terms of the things that we all want to see in a USC defense, the things that we saw under Pete Carroll, Danton Lynn brought that to UCLA in one season. Like UCLA, we saw UCLA's defense a year ago. We saw that 48-45 USC UCLA game, which was basically a video game in shoulder pads. UCLA's defense was awful a year ago. And so some people will say, well, but UCLA got blown off the ball by Oregon State this season. Yes, Oregon State has better personnel than UCLA does. But for UCLA to make all the strides that it did in 1 year under Danton Lynn, that tells me that you give Danton Lynn USC's recruiting resources and all of its institutional and structural advantages. I mean, it's hard to convince me that he's not going to do extremely well, both on the field and in recruiting. So he doesn't have the long, several years long resume in terms of proving himself as a recruiter. But folks, all the ingredients are there for Danton Lynn to become a rock star at USC.
All right. And one quick thing, and I'll hang up after this, but what are your thoughts of the possibility of Ken Norton Jr. possibly coming back?
I mean, we have a lot of names of some really special guys that were here during some special times. Our linebacker play, I guess it definitely couldn't hurt. It goes back to what we talked about earlier. It's going to be whatever Danton Lynn wants. It's really what's going to come down to. That'd be kind of crazy having a couple Bruins, coaching for us again. That, we had McKay, we had a Duck coaching for us with McKay. So, I mean, we've done this before. I'm open to whatever can get us that top 10 defense to get us stifling teams like 2.3 yards per carry attempt. Whoever it is that could do that for this defense, I'm all for it. Bring them in. But, sometimes we get nostalgic. We want to pull guys back. I want the best guy for that position. Period. And also the caveat being the best guy for the system and also the culture of working with Lynn. That is, all these things are important. But like you said, Matt, I'll go back to it. The tackling on the Bruins. I said the one thing I noticed early on that postgame said the one thing I noticed is how laser focused that Bruin team was when they got to that field against USC. It was like sure tackling. Everybody, was gap sound. You didn't see blown coverages. You saw, guys wrapping up and driving through tackles. I mean, it was just, oh my God. So whoever can fit his locker room, his culture the best, that's who I want at linebacker coach.
Agreed. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. You guys are doing a great job with the show.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much, Alex. We'll be calling again soon.
All right. Bye.
All right. Okay, now listen, Matt, I need you to stay on me. We've got 5 people. We've lost 2 already. I need you to stay on me. Let's try to crank through these because I know we have a lot of people who want to be heard tonight. Good evening. You're on with Matt and Tim. What are your thoughts on? Oh, sorry. Well, first off, what's your name? Where are you calling from? And then what are your thoughts on Danton Lynn?
Hey guys, it's Mike from Huntington Beach again. I had to call in.
All right. Hey, Mike. Thanks.
Hey guys. Hey, just had to say, just absolutely love the hire. I think it's a home run hire. Tim, you hit it a few shows ago where you were saying, when I said USC's got to start putting up the NIL money to get these high school recruits, and you said NFL is where they want to go, right? So we have a guy now with an NFL connection. His dad was an NFL coach, Baltimore Ravens, everything like that. I mean, I think this is just showing that we're trying to take that extra step to show these kids we're going to try to get you to the next level, right? This is the most important thing to these kids besides, the NIL bag that, schools want to throw at them. So I love this hire. Get behind it. I'm very curious and I'm very excited to see, the new staffs that come in with it. Matt, we all know there's another position you want changed, and, we'll see what happens within this off season. But yeah, super excited, guys. I just had to call in about it again because I'm so freaking stoked. To the people who are doubting it, I mean, it's not like we went from Kirby Smart defense to Danton Lynn. We went from Alex Grinch to Danton Lynn, and they dominated us, man. So we went out, we took it, and now, we showed UCLA that they're our little brother once again. So fight on, guys. I'm just very excited. Can't wait for this.
Fight on, Mike. Thank you so much. Yes on everything. It's gonna be great, and it's not just the play. It's not the recruits, and the players. It's also their coaches. it's also their circle of their family and everyone who's really wants the best for this kid. They want these guys have a dream, and these kids dream of playing in college, but their real dream is playing the NFL. And if you show the path to the NFL, that is definitely how you're going to get the top recruits. Great call as always, Mike. Thank you so much. All right, next caller. Thanks for calling. You're on with Matt and Tim. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Hello?
This is Angel from La Mirada.
Angel from La Mirada.
This is Angel from La Mirada.
How you doing, Angel? What are your thoughts on Danton Lynn hiring?
I'm doing fine. I think it's an excellent hire. It's a first step in the right direction. However, I also agree with previous analysis that by Matt that we need a strength and conditioning coach. Okay. We're going to the Big Ten. Those are big boys. The next thing, we need a special teams coach. We need to be able to compete on all three levels. And hopefully that'll help us with recruitment, and it'll help us keep our players. Thank you very much for your call.
Angel, thank you so much for your call. Really appreciate it. Yeah, again, you guys, this is a night to celebrate. Some people are freaking out. It is a gamble. But you know what? With great, if you want a great return in life, you're going to have to take a gamble. You got to get those big boy pants on and make some real big calls. We could get burned. Matt's going to tell me how right now, but I'm just saying you got to make these moves. Matt?
I'm just saying, before we field the next call, folks, like Jim Leonard, you know, if USC contacted him, he almost certainly said, no, thank you. So like, if you're upset that it's not Jim Leonard, I mean, chances are that if a phone call was placed to his agent at some point over the past week, his agent probably said not interested. That Jim Leonard's interested in a head coaching job. But we can at least allow this to play out. Like maybe Jim Leonard takes the open defensive coordinator job at Michigan State. So that would indicate, oh, actually, no, he didn't want to be a head coach, or at least he was considering another coordinator opening. If Jim Leonard gets the Michigan State defensive coordinator job, then that would mean he took Michigan State over USC. And maybe that could create, legitimate criticism of Lincoln Riley and Jen Cohen. So we can allow for that possibility. But if we assume that Jim Leonard wants a head coaching job or an NFL coordinator job, and he said no thanks, there's only so much USC or any other school can control about that. So I just want to emphasize, if it's not Jim Leonard, the clear number one target, if it's not Jim Leonard, is this pretty much as good as USC could have done under that circumstance? So like measure Danton Lynn against non-Jim Leonard candidates who were interested. That's really how we need to take the measurement of this hire. That what other candidates were willing to consider going to USC, working for Lincoln Riley. We don't really know that, but one can pretty safely say that Jim Leonard said, no, thank you. I'm interested in other jobs. And that's an important piece of context in all this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been thinking about, we might actually have a sponsor for a show. It's going to be the Conquest Call-In Show, sponsored by Adam. Adam, how you doing tonight? I mean, listen, you're always dropping.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
I think you self-sponsor this whole show throughout the past couple of weeks. I'm doing great, Adam. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great. Thanks for taking a second call from me. I promise I'll be brief. So if I had to grade this hire, I would give it a B. Certainly, he did a good job at UCLA and has potential. But here's the thing. I think there's something underneath this that no one's really talking about. This hire shows that Lincoln Riley will never hire anyone like a Jim Leonard or a Jesse Minter or a Will Muschamp, anybody who might upstage him or threaten his control, the control that he wants over the team. And I think that's the underlying problem that's going to manifest over the next year or two. Okay. And in that respect, it is disappointing. In addition, when we talk about the strength and conditioning coach, it's like, look, we're getting 4- and 5-star recruits. These guys should know and have the motivation to work out and to, get cardiovascular and physical conditioning. Okay. I think part of the problem is the players that we have are the issue. not necessarily the coaches, with the exception of Grinch. So, Matt, I was wondering what your thought was on that. And by the way, Matt, when you announced the breaking news, I actually fell off my chair because I was so shocked. So that was an
Hope you
epic
didn't
announcement.
injure
And I
yourself.
appreciate that. But I have to.
Hope you didn't injure yourself falling off a chair.
No, my girlfriend wishes I had, but otherwise, I'm okay. But what are your guys' thoughts?
Really quickly, let me address the whole Minter and Human, just things like that. Hey, look, yes, USC could throw money at people, but at the end of the day, it's also about culture. It's also about fit. It's not just about getting the best guy. You know what I mean? And then also you have to assume, I love USC. Adam, you have split allegiances, but I know you like USC. But these guys are doing the best career moves. They're doing the best career moves for themselves, right? And they're pretty good over there at Georgia. You know what I mean? And he's lining himself up for something I think very special. And to think that we could go in Minter, hey, I think they're in the playoffs as well. They're both in really good spots. They've built these defenses right. They want to hop out and start all over again. I'm sure they're well compensated. And they will be well compensated. So money is not everything. It's also the opportunities, and the money will come. They're looking at bigger opportunities. Matt?
Yeah. So, Adam, I mean, if you are Jesse Minter at Michigan and you are Glenn Schumann at Georgia, like you're making the playoff, you're 12-0, like you're in a really, really good spot. And, unless there was something unique about USC, something really, really special that you couldn't find anywhere else in terms of, competing for national championships or, being able to be a dominant college football program. I mean, Michigan and Georgia, their success in recent years, you generally don't leave that for another college program unless you're leaving to be head coach. But to go from coordinator to coordinator from a Michigan or a Georgia to USC, just in terms of the career calculus, as much as we at USC would love that to happen, like just in terms of the industry, that's generally not a move that you make. Now, Dan Lanning, like he got a head coaching job at Oregon. So that's why he would leave Kirby Smart's side. He has a head coaching job at a program that can compete for a national title. But generally to leave from a coordinator position to take another coordinator position at another program, which is, certainly not better. USC is not better right now than Michigan or Georgia. It just doesn't make sense. And so with the Jim Leonard angle, and also with the Lincoln Riley angle that he doesn't want to hire someone who will upstage him, I mean, I think that, hiring a 34-year-old plays into that. Like it does reinforce your point to a certain extent, Adam. But, and here's something we don't know, and then this might be revealed in the next few days if Lincoln Riley and Jen Cohen are willing to talk about it. We'll see how open they are in terms of disclosing how this process went down. But we don't know if they had the chance to hire Jim Leonard and were stingy on the details, the contract, the freedom given to Jim Leonard, if that even happened. We don't know that they had the chance to hire him but passed. It could just be that Jim Leonard said no, which I think is the more likely outcome. So we don't know, Adam, if Lincoln Riley refused to hire a big rock star level coordinator such as Jim Leonard. It could be that Jim Leonard and other rock star coordinators are skittish about wanting to work for Lincoln Riley. We don't know. We don't know either side of it, but I'm just saying we don't know. That's my main point of emphasis.
Actually, I'll come back to that one. Just really quickly, Adam. So this question here, it drives me crazy how people believe Minter or Schumann would leave for a rebuild USC job. It's just delusional. That's like, I don't know. That's like a guy that's perennially in the playoffs at a blue blood Oklahoma becoming the head coach at USC. I will say this. You're right. USC is a good job. The fact that they are on top right now, I'll give you that lead. And like what Matt so eloquently said, it's not like they're at the top right now and they're going to come do a rebuild, but it's not completely delusional. I think the days of thinking that way are kind of out the window as well. Was it likely? Hell no. Was it possible? Probably not even possible. But is it delusional to think that way? It's not delusional to think that way. Matt, your quick thoughts on that?
I would agree. I fundamentally
agree.
It's not
delusional. That's too far.
Yeah.
Adam, any more thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Just the last thing I'll say briefly is that I just worry that this hire highlights a culture problem at USC where Riley wants to be in complete control. I mean, Lynn is never going to challenge him. Lynn is going to be his subordinate, and I don't trust Riley in that role. I was hoping for a coordinator who was more on Riley's level, but I hope to be wrong, guys. And thanks again, as always, for a great show. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Adam. One quick follow-up to that, Adam. I would just say this.
Yeah.
Riley did all that he's done in his career so far. His record, the playoff appearances, dominating the Big 12. He did all of that with Alex Grinch as his defensive coordinator. He did all of that with Mike Stoops as his defensive coordinator. If he even gets just a solid defensive coordinator, can you imagine with the name power of USC, with the recruiting power of USC, what Lincoln Riley can do? I think that it's not about, and by the way, any head coach worth their salt is going to call the shots on the entire program, period. They don't have their assistants. They'll listen, but he's in charge of the program just like any other alpha is going to be as a head coach of a major university, Adam.
Well, that's fair. And here's the thing, I'll compromise. I'll give him 1 to 2 more years, like Matt said. It's unreasonable to call for his firing now, but 2 years from now, let's hope I'm wrong. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks as always, Adam.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. And then so here's is it Chinello? I don't know. M Chinello. I'm saying here, this is the combination. This is how USC gets to the top of the game, like they did with McKay, with Robinson, with Carroll. You have to do this scenario. Thank you, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey there, this is Dr. C from Houston.
Dr. C, thanks for calling.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm listening to the callers and, I see everyone's points. But the one thing I want to remind everyone, I think that I'm excited about this hire. Obviously, Leonard was my top pick, and then Allen would be 2. But this was my number 3 pick. If you saw UCLA's defense, it was the top defense of the Pac-12 this year, and it was just really well coached. They're tackling when they played us. You saw how they handled our offense pretty well. And throughout the season, it was a solidly coached team. But I want to remind everyone, with the offense that USC has, we really just needed a defensive coordinator that can contain the other team to, let's say, 24 points, because this offense could score 24 points on anyone. So I think I was just wanting to see them get someone that can contain the defenses, and I think that Lynn can be the guy for that job. What do you think? My assessment is fair, or am I too optimistic?
No, it's been fair. It's what we've been talking about on this channel for ages. And a matter of fact, hey, let's just get a coordinator that can hold mediocre offenses to under 200 yards rushing. Let's start there, right? And that's one hallmark of what Lynn was able to do last year with UCLA, is have a stifling rush defense, one of the best in the country. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, they were number 1 rush defense for the Pac-12. I'm looking at their stats right now. Number 1 in rushing defense. They were 2nd in points allowed, and I believe 2nd in passing yards allowed. So all in all, it was just such a balanced team. Obviously, we have better recruits. He did it with they had a couple of 4-stars, but he was dealing with mainly 3-star talent. So I'll leave you guys with this. I'm really optimistic with the hire. But have you guys given this hire a letter grade?
A.
I'm giving it an A- only because of just the track record. Because but what you've seen, where he came from, what he's doing, and again, I'm hearing that just in the coaching circles. We're kind of a novice, but his name in coaching circles is a hot name. That's something special. But yeah, I'm going to give it A-, just like Matt. What are your thoughts, Dr. C? By the way, chat, go ahead. This is a great question. I wish I thought of it. Chat, go ahead. Give us your grade. Go ahead and grade USC and Jen Cohen on her first big hire. Give us a grade. Paul's got it a B+. All right, C+. Yeah, I think it's a great question, and I think that given the situation, and by the way, we did get in before this portal window opens up. The grad transfers are out there right now, but I'm sure the phones will be burning tonight for a lot of recruits.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm giving it an A-. I mean, if it wasn't Leonard or Allen, this guy was the top choice. I mean, I'm really surprised they were able to get him from crosstown rival. With what he had been doing at UCLA, I thought they would try to lock him in, especially if Chip Kelly was going to stay there. And I could have even seen him if Chip got fired. I could have seen him getting promoted to the head coaching position with the job that he did there. The only reason I'm giving it an A- is because obviously he's only been there one season. But as you guys alluded to, he has some NFL experience and whatnot. But this is an exciting hire. So, man, I couldn't be happier with it.
Matt, we got to be fair. Matt was cherry picking the grades, so we got to throw them all out there. This is public
grades
record.
Are not serious. Come on,
well, this is Oklahoma.
Ryan Dawson, Mr. Oklahoma fan here.
It's Oklahoma. They're going to sound off. Let them sound off.
No, Tim. No, there's a point here with Ryan Dawson. Saying that Lincoln Riley's track record at Oklahoma wasn't bad. No. You were saying Lincoln Riley wasn't serious about defense, that he'd never hire a good coordinator. You're now backtracking. You're shifting the goalposts. Stop it.
Well,
You're
come on
not
now.
serious.
Listen.
You're not intellectually serious. And this is one thing. People were writing Lincoln Riley off. No, he's never going to hire a good coordinator. He doesn't value defense. He doesn't take defense seriously. What about this hire, folks? Crickets. Not hearing anybody from that brigade about Lincoln Riley not taking defense seriously. That's been refuted. And if you're going to try and shift the goalpost and say, "Whoa, Oklahoma," stop. That's not serious.
Matter of fact, Matt, you know what?
I think we just won the national championship.
No, well, I mean, I know that I know he's taking it seriously. You're right, and that's a perfect point. You brought that up. Ryan Dawson has been in our chat saying that they don't care about defense. This is a big boy move. Is absolutely going to pay dividends. Dr. C, anything else? We got a couple of people. I keep losing people because I'm a bad host and I keep calls on too long and I chat away. Anything else for us?
Yeah, no, I just like A- higher. I think a B+ if you're really, not sure about this, but anything lower than a B+, I don't think they really understand what they're talking about. That's it for me tonight. Thanks for taking my call and have a great night.
Thanks, Dr. C. Yeah, short of the home run, just like the moonshots that people were going for, right? Because they were out there. There were moonshots out there. Of the realistic names that I've heard, this is one of the ones that was talked about early on and was a solid call. I mean, I am very happy with this hire. Thank you for calling in. Sorry.
Before we take this call,
wait, hold on 1 second. Sorry, caller, 1 second.
Just before we take this call, if you're grading this anything lower than a C+, you're not serious.
Right. And by the way, about my hosting skills also, listen, do me a favor, and there's almost 300 of you guys. There was 350 a minute ago. If you guys can hit that subscribe button, we are trying to get to 2,700. 2,700. We're trying to get to 4,700 subs. We really pushing our way towards 5,000. You guys go ahead and take a second, just right below Matt. There's a subscription button. We're going to be going live with more stuff than just defensive coordinator positions. We'll be going live throughout the entire offseason whenever news breaks. So if you want to call and talk about it, make sure you subscribe to us. Also, if you get a chance, go ahead and subscribe to our Twitter, Tim_Prangley on Twitter. And then also for Matt, it's, which one do you want to use, Matt?
Wherever you want to go.
Well, which one? You tell them which one you want. Your Twitter account? Which one do you want?
Trojan's Wire? I mean.
Okay, at Trojan's Wire if you want to get a hold of Matt. All right. Sorry, caller. Sorry for waiting. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Gerardo again I'm not in the freeway anymore. I'm at home in downtown LA.
All right. You're not terrorizing the freeways.
So
great.
Yeah. So I have a couple little quick comments. The first one, I didn't have champagne at home, so I am truly celebrating. Like I pulled out and I made myself a Cuba Libre to celebrate this hire. The last caller, in regards to the last caller, people need to understand that smart leaders, and I think that from his record, Lincoln Riley has shown that he is a smart leader. They surround themselves with people who are better than they are in the different areas that they have to lead. You take anyone from President Lincoln to President Kennedy, they've always believed surround yourself with the best people, and I think that anyone who can question that Riley wants to do that is kind of foolish. But number two, I think that Lincoln Riley is also looking at a long-term coordinator. There may be a lot of coordinators out there who may want to come in for 1 year, 2 years, and then they want to be head coach or they want to move on to something else. So that's something that Lincoln Riley will have to consider. Is like, okay, if I'm really going to build this program, do I have someone that is willing to commit for 3, 4, 5 years before they're dying to go somewhere else? And hopefully that's what we got, and that's part of the decision-making process. And the last one, it's a question for you guys. If you had to, to choose, if you were our new defensive coordinator, which 2 or 3 assistants that we currently have would you want to keep? And that's it.
I wouldn't.
Thank you.
I wouldn't keep any of them.
I've been on record. I'm a Sean Nua guy. I definitely would want to keep Sean Nua. I do believe in what he did over at Michigan, and it's the one position group that really there was some inconsistencies. But you know what? We were talking earlier. I wish I could remember the caller. Yeah, they lost contain outside, but you know what? They were not running up the middle on us, and I did like the way the defensive line played. So. All right.
And the main thing is Danton Lynn needs to have his guys, his system, his way, his like that. That's the main things. And I know now if Danton Lynn looks at Sean Nua and says, "Hey, I want him on my staff," great. But it really it needs to be Danton Lynn's defense 100%. And the other thing that's important is, when Danton Lynn gets to meet Benny Wiley, because it looks like USC is probably going to retain him, when Danton Lynn and Benny Wiley have a conversation, like there needs to be some real give and take, push and pull in terms of what Danton Lynn is able to get in terms of how these defensive players are being developed. I don't follow UCLA closely enough to know how the Bruins strength and conditioning program operated, with Lynn being defensive coordinator, but Lynn's going to take that information from UCLA. He's going to apply it to USC, and hopefully Danton Lynn's own knowledge base, that's going to rub off on how USC and Lincoln Riley do business. So, and that remains to be seen. But it's certainly an important part of this larger overall process. I want to say one other thing about Danton Lynn, just on a general level, and that is, USC, couldn't stand up to Utah and Kyle Whittingham in the trenches. UCLA's defense absolutely smothered Utah up front. Utah's offense scored 1 touchdown, 7 points. The other 7 points were on a pick 6 thrown by Dante Moore. UCLA's defense stood up to Utah in Salt Lake City, allowing the Utes only 7 points. That should be a really big deal when we think about how tough, how physical Danton Lynn's UCLA defense became in 1 year. He didn't even have a multi-year ramp up. In 1 year, he really whipped those boys into shape, and that point needs to be underscored.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what has me excited. The quick turnaround. Just a quick turnaround. We're going to have some issues though, because there's some guys on the team right now that have. Let's just face it, they aren't tackling well. They haven't been trained. But you give this team of coaches that he's going to bring in an opportunity to work on. It's going to be a pretty banging, physical, hopefully spring practices with these guys breaking them down and just getting back to their fundamentals. Because that, listen, these guys were top players coming out of high school. So they knew how to tackle going back to the days of Pop Warner through high school. These guys knew how to tackle. Otherwise, they would not have been top prospects that they were. So we just got to bring it back, and hopefully they can get in one spring, get ready for, and then fall ball, get ready for a really, really tough schedule. I'll tell you what, I'm not as worried as much anymore about playing LSU as I was before. I got a little more confidence in this defense. Gerard, anything else for us?
Yeah, he also checks the other thing that Matt had brought before, which is he has played against Lincoln Riley. He knows his offense, and he can talk to him and tell him, hey, look, this is a way that we've attacked your offense. Think about ways that you can now change your offense in terms of what we do against you.
Gerardo, you must have read what I wrote at Trojans Wire right after this hire. Self-scouting is one of the reasons this is a value-added hire. Way to be on top of that.
I have not read it. I will read it, but I've heard you say it several times before, and it's a super valid point.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's just, again, we're going to learn more and more in the next couple of days. So you guys, if you haven't checked out, I know that USCJ is going to have a lot of content coming out in the next couple of days. Matt's going to be filling up his site, Trojans Wire, where the link is in the description will be in the description. I don't think it's in there yet, of this video. Also, make sure you're checking out Gabe over at the Trojan Blade. He's going to have videos coming out. It's going to be a really fun next couple of days for you guys to soak up, who Danton Lynn is, and you guys will be the main beneficiaries of all the stuff coming out. Make sure you're coming back here to check us out as well. On that note, also, if you haven't already, please make sure you've hit that subscribe button in the corner. All right, Gerard, anything else for us?
No, that's it. Thank you so much for taking my call.
All right, thank you. Thank you for calling in. So, folks, that actually zeroes out the call queue. We went a little less than an hour, and we've run out of calls already. For the 14 people that I talked too much and you guys hung up your calls, feel free to call back now. The phone lines are open. You'll get in right away. Phone number is simple. It's right up here, 888-99-RILEY, 888-997-4539, if I can remember the number. I got a call. Hello, thank you for calling. You're on with Matt and Tim. What's your name? Where are you calling from? And what are your thoughts on the Danton Lynn hiring?
Hey guys, it's Will. What's going on?
Will, and see, hey, I want to hear the Notre Dame. I want to know the Notre Dame view on our hire. What do you think?
I mean, I think it's a great hire, guy. I mean, you took one of the coaches from one of your two big rivals. I think it's a great hire. I mean, their defense went from bad to good. So I would be excited if I was a Trojan fan. I think this is a great hire.
Okay, Will.
But I have one little fun little thing.
Will, gotta ask. Any movement on Notre Dame's offensive coordinator?
Well, they fired the receivers coach, but I'm 99% sure that Parker's coming back.
Okay, well, that's great news for USC.
Sad.
It is. It's sad for you, but
yeah,
it's great for USC. Okay, wanted to get the inside skinny from you.
Mm-hmm. But I think it's fun that that USC can use one of their recruiting things. I'm like, hey, this is the guy that developed Kyle Hamilton, probably the best safety in the NFL right now. He's a very proud. Irish fans are very proud of him. So I think it's fun that Notre Dame's helping USC in this instance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be. This is what I want. Imagine if we had a better defense. I mean, I know that there was a crazy game. Offensive line was letting your defense, your front seven, just come in on free runs. But imagine if USC had one of the better defenses in the country. That, early on, it might have been able to weather that storm. And again, it's just little things like that that make me very optimistic about this hire. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. And one thing, I think year 3 for both teams, Notre Dame and USC, for these coaches is huge. Like McKay won in his 3rd year, Robinson won in his 3rd year, Pete Carroll won in his 3rd year national championship, Larry Smith won the Rose Bowl. And then on the Irish side, Leahy won on his 3rd year, Era won on his 3rd year, Devine won on his 3rd year, Blue won on his 3rd year, BK made it to the championship game. So this is a huge year for both Shillelagh programs.
Yeah, we want that thing back, Will, and we're coming for it. This time, you got to come to the Coliseum. So you better bring a new offensive coordinator, or you might be in trouble.
Well, hopefully with better receivers in the portal and the better receivers coach, our offense can look better.
Speaking of portal, there's a lot of quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much all the receivers.
Well, there's a lot of quarterbacks out there right now.
Riley Leonard in the portal.
Riley Leonard, huh?
I think Riley Leonard, that's the word on the street. And I think the reason Sam struggled a bit was because, like, the slow mesh still screwed him up a bit with throwing to receivers. Like, you just stared down receivers too much. And I think Riley's a bit more mobile than Sam and will hopefully be a better thrower.
Well, I like
but
the
hopefully
fact
he'll have great receivers from the transfer pool to throw to, because pretty much almost everyone's gone. I mean, I think Jordan Faison's going to start, and Jaden Greathouse might start, but besides that, I think we're going to have the rest of the receivers are probably all going to be from the portal. So, I don't know. I'm hoping that Parker can turn it around with their receivers.
Well, that does help. It gets that defense a little more two-dimensional. That might have been the problem that you had in the passing game this year. It might not just been that slow mesh messing him up.
Yeah, but Cam Williams, a 5-star from the Chicago area, is coming in. He's the receiver that everyone's excited about. But yeah, just going to be interesting to see if he can bring his own staff into Danton Lynn, because it would be fun to see. I think for you guys, it would be fun to see Ken Norton back, because he did well with the linebackers at SC for sure.
That was quite a while ago, Will. But yeah, it would be interesting. And listen, whatever Lynn brings, I'm going to be happy with. If he could all I'm looking at is if he could replicate the numbers we saw last year, I'll be more than happy, because with 18 points a game or something like that the Bruins gave up. And remember, that's with a really bad offense. That's with a really bad offense, putting them in really bad situations, getting them on the field probably more often, wearing them down. Even with all of the crap going on they had, or the lack of going on the offensive side of the ball, they still were able to hold. Their defense was still hold 18 points a game. So that's huge as well. That won't be the problem at USC. But listen, Will, we're stacking up again. Appreciate you always saving me when the lines go dead.
Again. All right. Well, fun to see what the new Trojan fans have to say. So thanks so much, guys, for taking my call, and have a great rest of your night. I might call you back, Tim.
Thank you, Will.
No doubt. Please do. All right. Thank you, Will. All right.
Yeah, no, that's a huge point that you made about UCLA's offense put the defense in bad situations the whole season. So you take that raw number, any of the raw numbers, and you adjust that for a team with a much better offense, either in terms of scoring or ball control. Those numbers look a lot better if you join a team with a Lincoln Riley offense. So, like, the UCLA's defensive numbers, good on its face, even better when you adjust for having a very weak pop gun level offense this season.
Yeah. Let's see, right? They'll go from having trouble scoring points to the complaint will be that Lincoln Riley scoring too fast. But I'm telling you, if the defense can hold a team to under 18, I think that puts USC in a great position to win almost every single game. Caller, thank you for holding. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey guys, this is Alan from Hawaii.
Alan, how you doing? Thanks for calling again.
Much better now. Did either of you guys see this coming?
Wasn't expecting it.
No, I wasn't expecting it. But I did say earlier today, I said, wait for one coming out of left field. This was not out of left field. This was the name people were kind of kicking around early on. But no, I was like always, right? These a new thing with this new administration. We're always shocked what they're going to hire. I'm hoping that next year we're saying the same thing at this time.
My first thought when I heard this earlier today was that this reaffirms USC superiority in LA, that we were able to poach this guy from UCLA that had definitely started making a name for himself. And I'm very pleasantly shocked and super happy that this happened and expecting some good things, because Lynn came from the NFL. Yeah. So I think that he knows. I think he's going to keep it simple, and I am hoping that he'll just turn our guys loose, and instead of them looking at their wristbands at the snap, that they'll be looking at the player in front of them, looking for signs of what to do and reacting to that, rather than, oh gosh, what am I supposed to do? That was just insanity. This whole season, it was so hard to watch.
Yeah, remember this, UCLA, this is the first year in Lynn's system, and I'm not sure if you guys saw it, but I didn't see anybody screaming, asking where they need to line up. I didn't see that at all during the UCLA game. So we got that. That is also another bonus we can put in our back pocket.
They knew exactly where they were supposed to be at the snap, and that is going to make world of difference in our defense next year. And just super excited again, and I hope hope our play calling doesn't let us down this year on offense.
I think their offensive line. I think our offensive line is going to be better. These freshmen are going to have a year together to fill in some spots also along the line. That's going to be the key, right? It's what held back the offense this year was our offensive line. Let's see if they can make that jump, and let's see if this defense. I think it's safe to say that we will not be like 80th in the country and 100th in the country in a number of defensive categories with Lynn. We don't know. I mean, we can't guarantee that, but I'm thinking we're going to see improvement on the offensive line as well as on the defensive side of the ball. How much is going to be a determining factor, but we're playing. We got a heavy load. We got Notre Dame, we got Michigan, we got LSU, we got Penn State. This is going to be a hell of a slate next year, but I'm feeling a little more confident having a defense that I saw at UCLA, right? We don't have the Murphy twins. We don't have Latu. We don't have that front seven, but I do think we have enough pieces in place. I do think we have the entire offseason in the portal. And I do believe in the freshman lineman they brought in last year, and maybe they're going to pull in like some elite left tackle and make this thing happen. Let's run it back this year. Matt, you have any thoughts?
I think with Danton Lynn coming in and the defense very likely to get a significant upgrade, the offensive line becomes the most important position group for USC. I mean, obviously, Danton Lynn has to make gains on the trail and in the portal, so we need to see that happen. But like I have confidence that he's going to do that. I'm not sure about Josh Henson. As offensive line coach, he has a lot to prove after the regression that we saw this year. I think if USC gets the offensive line fundamentally figured out, if that happens, I think that everything else we're now seeing with Danton Lynn on the defensive side of the ball, that USC will have a really good team if the offensive line gets figured out. And I mean, we do still have questions about quarterback. Also wide receivers, but that's what the portal is for. If USC doesn't whiff on portal prospects the way it did this past year with Dorian Singer, a total bust. If it can get a Jordan Addison, someone who delivers the goods at wide receiver, then as long as that offensive line gets figured out, because as we've said, with offensive line, you really need to build from within with your recruiting. I mean, the portal can help. The portal can augment what you have. But really, the portal is best made for quarterback and wide receiver recruiting. Offensive line, it's really about how you're developing guys from within. And those freshmen that Tim has been talking about, becoming sophomores next season, if they really are big, nasty, and can really pack a wallop, then I can see all the pieces fitting together for USC. But if offensive line is not solved, then the Trojans will continue to fall short, even with defensive improvements.
Alan, any other thoughts?
I totally agree with that. Yes. Well, I totally agree with that. That the offensive line, still the question mark. But if they can make that happen, I think that we'll have a complementary team, to use a catch term now. That the defense can actually take the pressure off the offense, and they can have a chance to blossom instead of having so much pressure on them like they had these last 2 years, actually. And that I have a feeling that Coach Lynn is going to be able to at least put the guys in the right position and let them play, that the offense can relax a little bit, and maybe they'll be able to blossom after that.
That's another great point. You heard about recently the complementary, right? Team play and the pressure that was put on the offense.
The ripple effect is something that I don't think anybody is going to be able to anticipate, but it could be huge. If we have a solid defense, and it could just affect all facets of the game, and we can compete next year in the big. So, I'm excited. So, thanks for taking my call, guys.
Thank you, Alan. You guys as always.
Have a good evening, and I will call back now that I'm excited again.
Right. Fight on. Yeah. Well, it's coming up on dinner time in Hawaii. So
care,
have a nice dinner. On. Fight on.
Yes. Fight on.
Hello? Yeah, sorry. Sometimes the screen gets covered up. Hang on 1 second, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from before you get started?
I'm Kyle from Utah.
Kyle from Utah.
Get that?
Yeah, I know another Kyle from Utah as a Ute fan. How you doing?
I'm not that Utes fan. I can't stand Utah, so I'm good. But anyway, I gave this hire for Lynn a minus. Simply for the fact that, I know you brought this up a little bit, was that he was able to coach a lower tier defense, but that lower tier defense played like a top tier defense. And that's what Lynn brings to the table. He brings intangibles that we can't see on a scoreboard, we can't see on a stat sheet, but he brings intangibles. He sold a message to these young men. They bought it, and they excelled and became one of the top defenses in the nation. And so I think this is a great hire. I gave it an A- because he's still fresh, and I don't know if he could do the same thing for USC. We hope he will, but we don't know if he will. And so that's the kicker right there. But I think it's a good hire, and we should ultimately give him a chance. It's either make or break. It's not going to hurt anybody to at least give Lynn a chance to prove himself. But I was just wondering what you guys thought about all that.
Well, I don't want to undersell the players they had on especially the pass rush and tackles for loss. The Murphy brothers, especially Gabriel Murphy, and then Latu. These guys are probably NFL guys. But it's not a team of no names. But at the same time, this is not a roster that we saw here that would be, I would say, that a lot of the Pac-12 teams, let alone top 25 teams, would trade for. So yeah, I think they absolutely did overperform. And then you have to look at coaching, you have to look at system. Matt, what are your thoughts?
I don't really have anything to add. I think the caller and also Tim are spot on. And so Danton Lynn, what did he inherit at UCLA? Like, he didn't inherit a high-end defense. He took pretty ordinary material. You talk about Bill Parcells. I keep going back to that. Bill Parcells talks about buying the groceries and cooking the groceries, in terms of, acquiring players and coaching players. And so Danton Lynn, he didn't do the grocery shopping. Chip Kelly left him with, ramen and, canned beans and spam. There you go. And he made a gourmet meal out of it. So now you bring Danton Lynn to USC, you're going to have Chateaubriand, you're going to have lobster, you're going to have, it's fine dining. And he's in a position to do really well with that. And, keep in mind, USC's moving into the Big Ten next year. When you look at how a Danton Lynn UCLA defense performed, this past season. Standing up physically to Utah, standing up physically to Arizona. Like, that was a really tough game, and Arizona's been an excellent team the past month and a half, pretty much. Like, you look at the Big Ten and those offenses. USC's defense with Danton Lynn, not Alex Grinch. See, that's another thing. Like, our minds are scarred by 2 years of Alex Grinch incompetence. If we plug in Danton Lynn's UCLA identity on defense and we put that up against Iowa and Minnesota and Wisconsin and even Penn State. Penn State's offense was dreadful against good competition this past season. Like, I'm at a place where USC should be better than every Big Ten team other than Ohio State and Michigan. I think USC is clearly third in the Big Ten. It's just a matter of whether it can be second or first. I think the Danton Lynn hire really does achieve that for USC.
And we have seen it. When you see the playoff games, when you see like a Georgia play Ohio State, right? Just really great defense. You're going to give up a lot of yards to good offenses, no matter how good your defense is. The key is can your defense keep you in the game? Can your defense get the stops when you need them? Can your defense get the other team off the field when they got to march 60 yards in less than with a minute and change to kick a field goal and win the game? Those are the kind of things that have been killing USC. And regardless of, I think we can put the idea that Danton Lynn's not going to have the kind of defense that's going to be able to get USC off the field. He showed it. He showed us against Utah, like Matt said, holding Utah to one offensive touchdown, not letting them march up and down the field like they did against USC at home in the Coliseum. Kyle, anything else?
Well, yeah, and I think the danger that USC could run into is once a team gets really good, sometimes they get comfortable and they start relaxing on their style, not necessarily style of play, but competitive of play. And I think that's the one thing that we revere about Pete Carroll so much is no matter how good USC got, he refused to be comfortable. It's like, no, being comfortable is not good enough. Being the best of the best is comfortable. That's what we want.
Yep, always
and
compete.
I just hope this hire will bring in that fire within these young men at USC to really drive. Because I think that's, as a USC fan and for all these alumni, that's what they want. They want that fire. Whether you win or lose, they don't care. Obviously, you care, but when that fire goes out, then there's a problem with this team because that fire, that eye of the tiger, if you will, is gone. They're not hungry, and I just hope they don't get comfortable, that they don't become hungry anymore to become champions.
Yeah, no, all good points. But this is what. Hey, do me a favor, stay with me on this. Let's get good before we worry about staying good. How about that? Let's win the conference and then start talking about staying at the top of football. I think that they've taken a huge step today to get to that point. But right now, we need to get good before we have to worry about maintaining it. Don't you think, Kyle?
Oh, absolutely. I think we had fine examples of that throughout the past, and we like to throw Pete Carroll out there. He was an average coach when he first came in. He was 6-6 about, but from there, his teams just kept on getting better. So you're 100% spot on that. We have to let it get there. I'm just saying, I'm afraid if they get there, that they become comfortable.
Yeah,
I understand that they have to get there. It's not an instant. Oh wow, we're all of a sudden amazing. That's awesome. No, it's like no, that's not what I'm talking about. There has to be that progression, and I think realistically, any person with some level of common sense understands there has to be a level of progression to be elite. You just don't become elite because you slept on it.
No, great call. Absolutely great call. Totally agree with what you said, Kyle. Hope you call again soon. Appreciate your fight on, man.
Hey, thank you. Fight on.
Yeah, so really quickly, this statistics show us that you guys cycle in and out of here every about 20 minutes or so. So I'm just going to throw it out there one more time. There's 220 of you guys on the line right now. If you could take 1 second, down there by Matt is a subscribe button. If you can go ahead and hit that subscribe, then you know when we go live. It's also a great way to just come and see our videos in general. Appreciate all of you guys being here. It's a great night to be a Trojan, great night to be a college football fan, because everyone, even if you're not a USC fan, when USC is good, college football is good as well. But just take a second really quickly to go ahead and hit that subscribe button for us. Let's get us to 5,000. Let's get us to 5,000. We want to get there before the bowl games are over. Caller, thank you for calling. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
What's up, guys? This is Sam from LA.
Sam from LA? Thanks,
Yeah,
Sam.
can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear. What are your thoughts on the new hire?
Yeah, so the hire, it seems pretty good. My question is, so it seems like he did well that first year at UCLA, so he got the bag after that. Let's say he does good at USC for a year. Don't you think he'll be gone after another year for a head coach job after that or something like that? How do we ensure we get a good coordinator, but still kind of brace ourselves for them not leaving to be a head coach somewhere if they do become a good defensive coordinator?
Well, before I hit that, thank you, Erica. You don't need 4 and 5 stars to have good defense, USC fans. Iowa gets four star D players, but most are 2 to 3 star. We are top 10 defense most seasons. Absolutely, you don't with the Phil Parker or with the right system, with the right coaches, or with the right attitude, the right culture. You do not need 5 stars. But you know what, Erica, 5 stars do help. Sorry about that. Matt, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so in terms of, Danton Lynn leaving UCLA after 1 year to join USC, that could create the impression, as the caller reasonably brings up, that he just wants to climb the ladder. But let's stop here. Let's stop and realize that why did Danton Lynn leave UCLA? I'm not talking about joining USC. I'm specifically talking about leaving UCLA. He saw the exodus in the portal. He saw how the decision to retain Chip Kelly as head coach was having a negative snowball effect. He saw the morale within the program just crumbling. Dante Moore kind of started that snowball rolling, but then you've seen other UCLA players leave in the portal, and this was just a mess. And like Danton Lynn, like, he's a human being. He has eyes. He can see on social media and the Los Angeles press, that UCLA fans want Chip Kelly fired. And also, let's remember this. And if you remember our Monday show with Mark Rogers, which we do every Monday at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific, here at the Voice of College Football, during UCLA week, when we had Tony Siracusa, UCLA insider, also ACC insider, and an editor at Last Word on College Football. You want to follow Tony and his work there. Tony brought up the point that UCLA athletic director Martin Jarmond is in the running for the open athletic director position at Ohio State. Gene Smith retiring. So that plum position is open. And that left a power vacuum at UCLA, because is Martin Jarmond going to make the final decision on a head coach a few months before he potentially, we don't know this for sure, but potentially goes out the door? This was a situation that Tony alerted us to, and it brought up the point that UCLA donors, boosters, like other people within the school's power structure, they really needed to take over from Jarmond for this decision on Chip Kelly. It seems that UCLA never really resolved that. So Danton Lynn can look at the internal politics of UCLA as an institution and say, this is a mess. Whoa, I don't want any more of this. So a lot of factors coalesced to convince Danton Lynn not so much to go to USC. I mean, he went to USC, but I'm emphasizing the point. He left UCLA because of a lot of bad things going on behind the scenes. And I think, as one of our other callers said, because he's just 34 years old, this is a long-term move by Lincoln Riley. It's a long-term investment for Danton Lynn. The only way he would leave after one season at USC is if he, wins the national title, or at least gets to the national championship game. Like, he would have to just kill it so fully that the NFL would come running to his door. Anything short of that, he'll be around for a few more years. So I think in terms of the cost benefit, in terms of Danton Lynn in the NFL or wanting to get a head coaching job, I think that's going to it won't be an immediate process. But if it is, it'll be because USC's playing for really high stakes, and the program will have been elevated. So I see this as a win-win. Either he stays for several years, or if he's not staying for several years, it's because USC is competing for national championships.
And let's face it, I mean, the guys we've been talking about, definitely Jim Leonard, but guys like White, Schumann, these guys are all looking for their next gig as well. These guys aren't all going to stay defensive coordinators forever. They are eyeing either college head coaching positions, or if you kill it at certain schools like Alabama, right, or USC, you're gonna get those phone calls. It's been proven. So the fact that he chose SC, the fact that we know Lynn's going to the NFL. I mean, this guy comes from his dad was NFL. He came from the NFL. He's like Pete Carroll. He's eventually to get that itch again to get back to the NFL. It's gonna happen. But the key is, like Matt said, if he's winning national championships and he goes, that means we have a national championship caliber team, and then we're in the catbird seat, and then we go and call the people in the Rolodex again, say, "Hey, remember you turned us down last time? Look at this
Jim
defense."
Leonard might say yes, exactly.
Hey Jim, you might want to come play. Yeah, you fizzled out with the Jets. Come on back here, and maybe you could be our defensive coordinator. So I think that even in our worst case scenario where he does end up going to NFL, it's because he did so well, and we'll know that USC also killed it. So great points, great call, Sam. I got a couple more calls coming up. Any one last quick thought for you?
No, it makes sense. Thank you.
All right, Sam. Thank you so much for calling. Yeah, all great points. Again, you guys, I know I keep harping on it, but if you could, it's a new group of people in here. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button and then hit the subscribe so you know when we go live. We will be going live a lot. Whenever big news breaks, we want to hear from the Trojan family. So if you like the format, we sure as heck appreciate you being here. You guys are the stars of the show. This is not the last, but it's definitely the first Trojan call-in show. It's specifically geared towards you guys driving the show as the callers. Caller, on that note, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Tim.
Well, I know that guy's voice. How you doing, Dad?
Hi, Matt.
Hi. Thanks for calling.
Well, I say Matt and Tim. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm excellent hire for some of the reasons that brought up already. This guy will hang around for at least probably 2 years, if not 3. He can write the NFL job because that's where he's going eventually. If he performs for SC and gets on the national championship, you know he's going to be on the list. That's a great thing. Also, there's a history of coaches in all sports from USC and UCLA switching schools. Some of them are very good, both of them, and some of them fair. But I think this will be very good for USC. By all indications, this is exactly what I think we needed. I think an experienced coach that might have been on top of your list, Matt, probably would skip a lot quicker. And this guy, he's proven to me that he has some ability. And one important word was what I find, among others, our friend from Notre Dame, discipline. Discipline. The second thing a coach has to get into kids. They have to get in the right position at the right time. They have to know how to tackle. I assume they were taught in high school, but they didn't like last year. You have to make sure those discipline and fundamentals down. And then, I'm thinking about the SC coach that was stolen away by UCLA in baseball and won the first national championship for them. So things happen from these things. It's a good thing. And I just don't want to take too much time because you got 20 million phone calls coming in on this one. And I think it shows the cooperation between the athletic director and the head coach. I don't think there's any question about it. I think it's a joint decision. They all are in it, and I trust your judgment. I think it's a good deal.
No, absolutely, Dad. Listen, you always be my favorite call. I love you, Dad. All great points. I think you wrapped up my hour-long ramblings in about maybe a 2-minute call. Maybe you should be doing this. And I think you're talking about John Savage, right, Dad? The USC coach that went over to UCLA and won a national championship with them. Yeah, there is a history here.
It was not one of the better decisions at USC when they fired a guy that won a national championship. The last one that won a national championship. He has a sister over UCLA and very years with a national championship. But that's the way it is. That's football, and that's baseball, and that's sports. Good enough. The show is great, by the way. I enjoyed the show all night.
You better think it's great, Dad, or we'll have some words over dinner.
And let's just say, folks, Mr. Prangley here, like he watched John McKay and John Robinson do their thing for a couple decades, he knows what tough, physical, disciplined, winning defense looks like. So if Mr. Prangley is sold, you should be sold.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if he'll want Coach O, and I don't know if he'll want Coach in, then a staff in one form or another, either one of them. He might have some history behind him, but we took a chance on him when he came to SC the first time. So just a hunt.
Yeah, absolutely, Dad. As always, nailed it.
Okay.
Mr. Optimism. I love it.
Okay.
Love you.
It. Bye-bye.
Bye on, Dad. Yeah.
Bye on, brother.
Nailed it. All right. Next caller. You're going to have a hard time following up my dad. I'm going to tell you, call. You better bring your stuff. Hi. Thanks for calling, Matt and Tim. What are your thoughts? Well, first off, what's your name? Where are you calling from? And what do you think about the hire?
Excellent. My name is Dante.
Dante.
I'm sorry. Dante? And where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the beach.
Okay. Dante from the beach. What's your thoughts about the hire?
Oh, my friend is the best in the world. This is numero uno.
Now, are you talking about Danton Lynn, or are you talking about what are you talking about? Dante, you there?
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, I'm here.
And what's numero uno? The hire?
Oh, numero uno. Yes, numero uno.
And why are you so hyped on Danton Lynn?
Because he finally realized that that's not a football school. He had a bad dream. He said, wait a minute. The university that is the historic one, it's in the next campus. And he took the plane and said, that's it.
So
I'll take the job.
He realized the error of his ways being over in Westwood and realized that football's played over in Los Angeles at the Coliseum. Is that correct?
That is correct. That situation never was going to materialize, and they were going to get rid of the fat one over there too, Mr. Kelly. So we have a good offensive coordinator. Now we have a defensive coordinator, and they're going to be scared from us. This is, by the way, just so you know, I am the greatest Trojan that has ever existed. I follow McKay, and I follow John Robinson, and I have history.
Well, listen, you've watched a lot of USC football, and you're excited about this hire, so that does absolutely point in the direction that Trojan fans should be happy. What would you say to the Trojan fans that are down on this hire and think it was a bad hire?
Well, first of all, I told you my name was Dante because I wanted to tell you I am Dante and you killed my father. But that's just in the drama. Now I'm Enrique, the greatest. Remember me? I called about 3 weeks ago or a month ago. To get you guys know that, to bring up your spirits. You guys were really down. Let's do it, baby. Let's do it. We are moving. We are grooving. We are lost in the sauce. Call Jay, 32. He's the best. We got it. We're going to do it. We're going to destroy the Big Ten. And I think that Oregon is losing right now. Thank God Washington is winning. We don't want those scarecrows to go to the Big Ten. They are not even to the caliber of our university.
I agree with you there.
Next time, Enrique, you don't need to pose as Dante. We want the just to know that it's Enrique from the beginning. So, like next time, don't say that you're Inigo, or Manuel. Just Enrique. We want the original Enrique. That's good enough for us.
All right, you got it.
Well, again,
anyway, we did a good hire, and I think that we're going to start moving on the right direction. And Lincoln never had good defense people. I think, if they put Mr. Dante Williams as a coordinator only, maybe he's great, but he's not a coach. So
recruiting
they move
coordinator
the pieces properly, we are going to be able to do something. Yeah, just as a coordinator. Just as a coordinator.
Yeah, not coaching any of the guys on the field.
Yes.
Okay.
No, forget that. Just concentrate on to bring in the kids. Now, if you guys notice, they went around the bush with Leonard and this and that. This guy is sitting here in California, in the back yard of USC with all the best high schools in the U.S. And so what happened is that he knows the place. He doesn't have to move because he's here already. So I believe in my heart that this hired was tremendous. And like I said, he realized there is no comparison with the history of USC versus UCLA. That's a basketball school. So he said, you know what? I'm going with the big fish. So he jumped over to the pool of the USC, and that's what happened.
Again, a lot of
All right,
callers.
guys, I love you. I'm looking at you from way over there.
All right. Well, Enrique, you got a cult following in Matt and myself, and definitely in the chat. Everyone wants to harness your energy. We're ready. You've watched a lot of USC football. You put it eloquently. We are going places with this team. You call me Sunshine Pumper. You can call me whatever you want. But this is the hire I think we needed. Some tough, hard-nosed football, X's and O's. We got the Jimmies and the Joes, and we're about to kick ass in the Big Ten. So appreciate your call, man.
Viva Enrique.
You got you there? All right. Thank you so much, Enrique.
All right.
Oh, lost. My bad. I thought we lost him. All right, Matt. I think we've done our due diligence, our duty. We promised everybody that when we came live,
Enrique, baby.
That's the way to do it. Everybody, thank you so much. Everyone that's here right now. We still got Twitter in line. If you could, before you bail, I know you're all about to bail right now. If you could please just hit that subscribe button and like, it really helps out the channel. I'm so grateful you guys show. Every time we're north of 200 and we come on this show, I'm just amazed by how many fans out there of USC, how many college football fans want to hear about USC. And by the way, again, thank you so much for everybody calling. Alex from Fort Worth, Mike from Huntington Beach, George from Tennessee, Mike from, Angel from La Mirada, Adam from Georgia, Dr. C from Houston, Gerardo from LA, Will from Virginia, Alan from Hawaii, Kyle from Utah, Sam from Los Angeles, my awesome and incredible dad from Seal Beach, Dante from Enrique from the beach. All you guys are awesome. All you guys in the chat are awesome as well. Sorry I couldn't get to a lot of your comments, but anyone out there watching, everyone in the chat, thank you so much, you guys, for being here. It means so much to Matt and myself. We know you guys now go right now and go cheer on those Huskies against the Zeros, you guys, because I think they're going to go put the nail in the coffin right here with about 8 minutes left in the game. They can march down there and score a touchdown. So fight on, you guys. We got our man. Love all of you guys. Thank you for being here. Make sure you tune in on Monday when we do our Monday show. Every Monday we do it with Mark and Matt, and we will be talking this hire for sure. So if you didn't get your fill now, make sure you go check out Trojan Blade. Make sure you're checking out Matt and Semek's work over on Trojan's Wire. And also make sure you're checking out USCJ, who a long time ago said Danton Lynn is my man. And I will corroborate that right away. He called this hire a long time ago. So fight on, Trojans. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you on Monday.